La la la, la 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 la.
What it is, B.E.A.M Squad? It's your boy Billy B.
It's your girl Eva, and today, you guys, I feel so different. No stomach.
It's all
Oh my
gone.
God, I
Still
don't.
got a little pudgy there, but
I
it's
feel
good.
so new. I don't know. I feel new, like a new person. You guys, we have my beautiful midwife here,
In the building.
Fadwa. Introduce yourself.
My name is Fadwa Halabi. I'm a certified nurse midwife, and my practice is Midwife 360.
Yes, you guys. So I already know y'all had. Well, I asked you guys to ask questions on Instagram about the birth. They want to know how you felt about it.
I liked it because I was not in the hospital. I didn't have nobody telling me, sit here, be patient, stay over there, putting me in the corner and stuff. It felt
And we got
great.
to
We was
record.
at home. We was, I could have took a shot of liquor if I wanted to. I could do whatever I wanted to do at the house at that moment.
I was about to say I had a little glass of wine.
Oh yeah, she had wine.
It's for you. A lot of the kids on here are gonna be like, "Oh my God, you drinking wine?" Is you tell them about
So
the wine.
we use the alcohol, like in the hospital, you have access to certain tools like drugs that can help when labor stalls out, or if you need to make things go faster, or even if sometimes you need to calm mom down or help her rest a little bit. So that's what happened with Eva's labor. There was a moment in time where her body actually naturally started to slow things down, and so we needed her to be able to really get some rest so that she would be fresh and ready to push. A mama needs energy to push. That takes a lot more energy. And sometimes with a long labor, energy gets really low. So at that point, we were at home. We don't have drugs that we put in through an IV, narcotics or anything like that, but alcohol works in the same way. So we gave Eva a glass of wine and tucked her into bed, and she actually got a good
sleep.
hour or hour and a half, something like that.
I was knocked out. I was good.
And when she woke up, she was ready for the next phase of the labor, and we were able to get the baby out.
Yeah. So that's another reason why I was happy to be home. And just so you guys know, because in the video, the video was short. Labor starts when the water break.
Nope, your labor really started when you were in the office after I checked you.
Yeah, I went in and I was 5 centimeters dilated, and my water broke at 5 p.m. at home. And the whole time when I was recording you guys, I was going through contractions, and I know it didn't look, even when I look at it, I'm like, damn, that's it? I didn't give any, emotion, oh my God, I didn't do nothing like that. And with Messiah, I didn't do that either. So I already knew, I could deal with pain, but yeah, it lasted.
It was long. It was a little more than 12 hours.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Because she came at 7 o'clock. So in the office, we had done a minor procedure with Eva's permission called stripping the membranes, which is when you do a cervical check, and it's just a little more of we call it a vigorous exam, and you run your finger around the inside of the cervix, and that really did trigger her labor. She was already 5 centimeters, so all that little bit of nudge triggered her labor to get started.
Yeah.
And her water broke a few hours later.
Yeah.
She was in full-blown labor.
Full-blown labor. I was so happy because I wanted to not get her out, but I was ready to have the baby.
Yeah.
Real quick, you guys wanted to know, before I start looking at the questions, why didn't I have the baby in the water? That was another question. I didn't know it was that serious, but I guess because I said I was gonna have a water birth. So in the water, I felt so relaxed. That was one thing. I felt relaxed. And when you guys saw me in the bathroom, it's like I felt like she was coming out, like I had to take a dump. So I liked the feeling of her coming out more than when I was in the water relaxed. I felt like it was too relaxed and nothing was happening. And I really wanted her to be out. I was trying to be over with the contractions. I was just expecting her to come out faster. And after I had this glass of wine and I went to sleep, it's like I felt like going to the bathroom or laying on the bed. I just didn't want to go to the water again because I wanted things to move. And I was like, come on, I want this over with. I was getting exhausted and tired of it. Even though I wasn't screaming and nothing like that, it's just I just wanted the process to be done.
Because you started already at 5 centimeters, and this was Eva's second baby, we anticipated that she was going to have a pretty fast labor. So typically when we're at home in the water, we really only like we have sort of a rule of thumb that people are only in the tub for 2 hours. That's kind of the limit. So once you've been sitting in the tub for 2 hours, you get like bored of it, and it starts to just not feel good. And so we get people out, walk around a little bit, maybe sit on the toilet or do whatever, and then potentially get back in the tub. So we try to save the tub for the very end of labor. Since you were already 5 centimeters and you were contracting pretty good, we don't do a lot of vaginal exams because we can usually tell by how a person is behaving, like how far along they are. And so we did anticipate that you were moving along, and we got you in the tub. And I think that was a big, I think maybe you would have had the baby in the tub had we saved the tub for a little later.
Yeah.
So you were in the tub for quite a while, and then you got out for a while, and then you got back in, and then you got out, and it starts feeling like the tub is the place where the baby's not coming. And so just like Eva was feeling after all that, like she just didn't want to get in the tub because it just felt like that's where the baby's not coming. And really what we want, I need this baby to be out now.
Yeah.
And so that's really why it ended up not being in the water.
Yeah.
But the water is a great tool for labor. And there's a few hospitals in the area that allow you to be in the tub for labor. They call it water immersion in labor, or as a tool for pain relief.
Yeah.
But they make you get out when you're about ready to push, and that's one of the worst things. Having to like move from one spot to another when you feel the baby actually coming. Like you want to just get the baby out when that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, good thing she said that part. I was getting discouraged. I'm gonna keep it real.
She was getting discouraged.
I was like, man, you know what? Because it's like my sister was here, and my sister's delivery, she had a C-section. Everything went fast for her because she had a C-section. And even though I resented C-sections, my subconscious or me being mad at the fact that it was taking so long, I just was like, okay, let's just get a C-section. Let's go to the hospital. And my midwife and Billy and all the other ladies that was there was like, you can do it here, Ivani. Like you tripping right now. And I'm so happy I had people to say that to me, because if I was at the hospital, it was like, oh, you want the C-section? Let's get this money. Let's chop you up. Get that baby out. No problem. But they didn't let me. And because I spoke to them before, and they know I did not want a C-section. So I'm grateful because I didn't have like a midwife or a doctor who was like all about the money. She was really just catering to me and wanting the best for me and thinking about after labor, you want to feel good. You're going to feel good after this. Let's get it done. Like, we can do this for you. And that's what she said. She said, you can do it right here on the bed. Come on. Giving me options instead of just like, all right, let's cut her up. Everybody, let's go. The difference between birth at the hospital versus here. When I had Messiah, they were like, you want epidural? All right, we could get you some epidural, all right? And I was like, no. Billy was like, no, she don't want epidural. I was like, no, Daddy, be quiet, okay? It's up to her. You stay over there, and that's it. That's how it was for us with Messiah. Me being in the hospital, they didn't wait for me to have the baby. They induced me because my doctor was like, straight up, I'm gonna be on vacation, and you don't want to have another doctor. You want me, so we gonna induce you on this day. And I was just sitting at the hospital. And to me, that was selfish of him because I actually missed out the opportunity of my water breaking and experiencing it and stuff. So that's why I was like, I'm never going back. And when I was pushing Messiah, my doctor, which is a guy, and I don't really like guy doctors, but I don't know, I'm not going to say nothing. I feel like the guys are careless, so they just do whatever brings in money. But he like cut me all the way to my butthole, y'all. So he cut me, and it hurt. It didn't hurt when he cut me, but it's like after the stitches was the worst pain ever, like the worst pain ever after birth, getting the stitch all the way to my butt. I couldn't poop right and none of that. But when I had her at home, they let me tear naturally, and I had just like little baby stitches, and it's like, why he didn't just let me tear naturally? Instead he just cut me. Like, I didn't like it. It's like they just do everything to make money, like more stitches, more money.
It's a business for them.
So yeah, that's why. And then in the hospital, they took Messiah away because they said he pooped, right? That he pooped inside of me, so they took him away very fast. I didn't get to hold him or nothing. I didn't see him. I went to sleep and I woke up way later, and that's when they gave him to me. But with Melanie, she pooped inside of me or outside. She
on the
pooped.
way out.
Yeah, and then they still put her on me, and she stayed on me for a whole hour. The placenta was connected, and I asked them to let the placenta stay connected to her until it stopped pumping. Like, everything I wanted, I got. And I appreciate that because they don't do that at the hospital. They don't let you record. When I asked them to leave Messiah's placenta on, the doctor ignored me. He cut the placenta off. It's like no respect. I don't like that. And I really like having some type of respect for my body, my baby, and stuff like that. And having Billy into it and just being home. So the questions. All right. So Fadwa, someone asked, how much does the whole birthing at home cost? Is it more expensive or less expensive than being at the hospital?
So it depends on what kind of insurance you have, or if you don't have insurance. If you don't have any insurance, it's cheaper to do a home birth. If you have insurance, private insurance, it might be more expensive to do a hospital birth, or it might be similar. In general, home birth is a less expensive route because you're not paying what's called a facility fee for the hospital. So should I go over what our prices are?
Yeah, you could.
So at Midwife 360, if you don't have insurance, the home birth from start to finish, care for mom and baby after the birth, is $6,700. But most people do have insurance. And so if you have private insurance, you have to look at your policy and find out what your benefits are. You will have to pay something towards deductible and then a co-insurance. And then we also have fees outside of that. So our extra fees that insurance doesn't cover comes to about $1,200. If you're a self-pay person, that's included in that whole $6,700. But if you have insurance, no matter what kind of insurance, Medicaid or private insurance, you still have to pay that $1,200. And if you have Medicaid, that's all you have to pay.
And do you know just an idea how much it costs for the hospital? Like how much?
Well, if you have Medicaid, the hospital is free.
Uh-huh.
So you don't have that extra fee for things that insurance doesn't cover at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it is at the hospital for otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
but I've heard people say that they've paid, $4,000 or $5,000 depending on
Mm-hmm.
what their deductible and their co-insurance. It really depends on the insurance plan.
For somebody who don't have insurance, do you know?
Then it would be probably closer to $10,000.
Oh, okay. Now, another question was after having a C-section, could they have vaginal birth and home birth?
So after you have a C-section, if you're able to have a vaginal birth, they call that a VBAC. And so VBAC stands for vaginal birth after cesarean. And it's actually advised, even the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, ACOG, which is the national organization that supports and oversees obstetricians and gynecologists, they state that most women are good candidates, even if you've had 1 or 2 prior cesareans, that you're a good candidate and should be offered a vaginal birth. Unfortunately, in our area, in South Florida, that's not happening. Mm-hmm. Many hospitals are not very friendly towards VBAC births. Many doctors don't offer them, or if they do, they require you to have the baby by 39 weeks. Mm-hmm. And many babies don't come by that time. So then you're faced with being induced, which is not something that really should be done. No. If you've had a previous cesarean, you shouldn't be getting medications like Pitocin and things like that to induce labor. Mm-hmm. So it is okay and it is safe. It's just hard to get in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, home birth providers do provide VBAC services, and we will do VBACs for women who've had 1 or 2 prior cesareans.
Yeah, because I see a lot of people say after they get C-section, they're like, oh yeah, I can only have C-sections because I had a C-section before. And that's not true. Even my mom, she had a C-section with my big brother, but me and my twin, we're twins, and she had us at 37 years old, and she pushed us out. So it could be done. I think that some doctors tell people that so that way they just get them to get the C-section.
It's easier. And
it costs, I think they get more money for doing C-sections. I'm not sure, but that's what I think.
So all y'all out there who have had C-sections before, one of the things that you should ask your doctor about when you go back, if you're pregnant again, ask them about something called Accreta, because they don't tell you about that. All they want to talk about is the risk for trying to do a vaginal birth, and the risk that everybody talks about is the scar breaking open, or what we call uterine rupture. And that is a risk. It's a very small risk, but that risk is there. It could even happen if you never had surgery on your uterus, but it's more with women who've had prior cesareans. But there's another risk of actually having the surgery. So when you have a C-section, what can happen is with the next surgery, with the next pregnancy, your placenta, if it attaches over the scar, you can have almost deadly bleeding. after you have your baby. And with every surgery that you have, 2 C-sections, 3 C-sections, 4 C-sections, your risk for this complication called Accreta goes up and up and up, and it becomes a higher risk than it would have been if you had tried to do a vaginal birth and the risk of rupture, if that makes sense.
Okay, another question is, I got sickle cell and I want to do home birth. Could I still do home birth?
It depends on how healthy you are. It depends on if you, how often you have flares or how well controlled your sickle cell is. And it just, that would be a pregnancy that would need to be co-managed with a doctor, and it would just depend on how healthy you stay through your pregnancy and whether or not you develop risk factors that should prevent you from having a home birth. So it's a maybe.
Okay. Another question for her. I'm trying to get all her questions out the way, guys. So, have you ever rushed anyone to the hospital?
So we have had one situation where we had to rush a birthing mom to the hospital. Midwife 360 has been around for about 5 years, and we've done somewhere around 220 births or something like that at home. And so one person had such a rare complication. It's only been reported 8 times in the medical literature. It happened with us in our practice, and we had to call 911, but we actually were able to have the baby at home, and the baby was great and did fine, and mom ultimately also did really well.
Oh, that's cool. I thought if something was wrong, they would make him go to the hospital, but you still had it at home.
We had it, well, we discovered it as she was pushing, so we were able to continue to get the baby was just about to be born, baby was born, and then we had to take her, they had to take her to the hospital
See,
after.
that's cool. So people be scared, but I think sometimes they think that a midwife is not a doctor too. They probably think it's something so different, but you guys are...
We're trained in normal birth, and we're trained to respond to complications, and we do our best to respond the best we can. That doesn't mean that we're not human. That doesn't mean that sometimes we might not recognize something right away, but we do our best, and we try to keep everybody safe and call for help if we need it. That's at the end of the day, that's what's really important. We always go back to the basics. What are the vital signs? How's everybody doing?
That's good. Would home birth be a good decision for a high-risk pregnancy?
So the answer to that question, just right off the bat, would be no. But I think that it's really important to always get a second opinion if you've been told that you have a high-risk pregnancy. Because sometimes women who are, say, over the age of 35 are told that they have a high-risk pregnancy because they're over the age of 35. And really, they're at a higher risk for a potential genetic defect with the baby. But once that's all ruled out, then they're just a normal woman having a baby, so really not high risk. So it always depends on what the reason is that they're being labeled high risk. I feel like sometimes doctors like to label people high risk because that gives them the opportunity to have a little bit more control and maybe steer them towards a C-section or early birth or whatever. But you can always get a second opinion. There's lots of OB doctors. There's lots of obstetric specialists or perinatologists. So if you aren't sure that the one you're seeing is giving you information that you can trust, then get a second opinion.
Okay. This is one that I found so funny, and I really needed you to answer. A lot of the kids asked, was I worried about the baby drowning when she came out? So I want her to answer that for you guys. Does the baby drown when they come out into the water?
So babies they're born, and for the first 6 months of life, I think, babies have this reflex that makes them close off their throat when they're submerged in water. And that's how they can teach those really, really young new babies how to swim. They just kind of like throw them in the water, and they automatically will close their throat and they don't breathe. And so in the womb, the baby is breathing through the placenta, not through their mouth, through the air. Clearly, the oxygen is coming through the blood. And so when they first come out, they don't breathe right away. Even on land, they don't breathe right away. When their head comes out, they're not trying to breathe. And once their body comes out, it takes a moment, right? It took a little, like 30 seconds or something like that for Melly to like sputter and cough a little bit and take that first breath. And so the same thing happens in the water. And they won't try to breathe until their face touches the air. And so there's exceptions C-sections, I mean, you can't just leave the baby indefinitely under the water. Yeah, the baby's ultimately going to drown if you don't ever bring the baby up. But babies are under for a minute or 2 minutes at the most, and no, they don't drown.
Yeah, I see a lot when I was watching a couple of water births where the mom would take her time to take the baby out slowly, and people would comment stuff like, hurry up and take the baby out. And I think, like, I wanted to take Melly out slowly if she was born in the water to promote like her having no anxiety, because I feel like when you rush things, the anxiety happens in the child early. It becomes like a implant in their memory or something. So that was one thing that I was gonna do. You guys are gonna probably freak and be like, Eva, honey, take her out, but I was gonna take her out so slowly. Like, that's one thing that I wanted to do. Another thing is leaving the placenta on. That's like one of the last questions though. Leaving the placenta on. What are the reasons people leave placentas on, and why do they cut them off so fast at the hospital?
So that's a really good question, because the delayed cord clamping feels like it's this new, like, kind of newfangled intervention. It's like, why are people doing that? Because for a long time, what we know is doctors like clamping and cutting the cord like immediately. I think where that comes from initially is that doctors, OBs, they're surgeons, and where they really shine is in the OR and doing C-sections to like save people's lives and save babies and things like that. And when you have a mom, like, you know, with her body cut open, you really do have to kind of get the placenta out fairly quickly. Now, they could leave the baby attached to the placenta, and the baby would still get the placenta transfusion. But a lot of doctors have this mistaken belief that the blood will go from the baby back into the placenta, and that the baby would bleed to death if you leave it, if you don't clamp it. And that's just not true. The fetal circulation changes as soon as the baby is breathing air, and the blood only goes one way. It goes to the baby. So that's where cutting the cord immediately came from in the first place. But midwives who have done home birth for years, forever, they know that. And even in the old textbooks, if you look at the old OB textbooks, you'll see that they recommend that the baby stays attached to the placenta until it stops pulsing if you want to have a healthy baby. And so we know from science that a third of the baby's blood volume is in the placenta at any given time. In the womb, it's one big unit. You have the baby and the placenta, and the blood is circulating around like that all the time. So at any moment in time, a third of the blood volume is in the placenta. Then when the placenta comes out, it takes a little bit of time for that last time for the blood to get to the baby, that last third. So clamping and cutting right away would be kind of like sticking a needle in your arm and like draining you of a third of your blood volume. You would not feel very good. You wouldn't be very healthy. You would be anemic. You would probably pass out. Like, it would be bad. So we're doing that to babies when we don't leave it attached to the placenta. And it doesn't matter. You can do it for, if you do it at least for 5 minutes, that's really good. But you can also leave it for hours, and that's not going to hurt the baby at all. So we like to wait until the cord is flat and white, and really you can kind of tell that there's really no more circulation going through it.
Yeah, we waited for an hour. It's not like we just decided, oh, let's wait an hour. It wasn't something that they were so in a rush to do anyway.
I think
because
what happened is Billy left to get you food.
Breakfast.
So we had to wait.
He wanted to be the one to cut it, so we waited for him. And and I liked it that you guys I asked for Melly to be on me doing skin to skin, and that's another thing that I like, because she stayed on me for the whole time before they did any tests to her and did all of that. They just let her chill on me, you know. It was not a rush to take her off and send her to I don't know where they take babies at the hospital. They just take them somewhere. But it was no rush. It was just, I got to chill with her and cuddle her, and it was just so calm. You guys seen the video, and you guys said a lot of spiritual vibes was going on and calmness, and that's what I wanted. And that's what I loved about this birth. And if I had another baby, I'm going to always do home birth, and I'm going to always do it with you guys, because it's like a family thing. Like, y'all should have seen them trying to help Billy with his throat. It was something wrong with his throat. That's besides the point. But the fact that they so like playful and helpful with Billy is so beautiful to me, because doctors don't do that. Like, I don't know what doctors you guys have, but I know what I'm used to, they don't care. They don't have that relationship. It's not no relationship building. And I'm so grateful to have met you guys and let you guys help me birth the baby. And you guys respected everything that I asked for. And even after, like, there's things that I didn't know, and I think a lot of people don't know when kids are hungry, little signs to look at. It's like they teach me things to help me be better at parenting or to deal with Melanie. They're always telling me things to like look for, and I'm grateful for that, because at the hospital they don't tell you nothing. They just send you home. Well, with Messiah, they didn't tell me nothing. They just sent me home.
Bottle of formula and send you
home. Like I had a doula too, and she helped me latch the baby. They text me once in a while to make sure everything is still going good. How's latching going? How's postpartum going? Are you feeling okay? And it's like you got somebody to care for you, have your back. I have Vanessa here, like, it'll make sure you tell your insurance this, and it's like little things that I did not do in Messiah. They do for me. They put me on. They remind me, and I'm like, I'm grateful. Like I had the best team, and I'm so happy that I had them. And I hope that answers all you guys' questions. Do you have anything else you want to end with?
They wanted to know about the what you did with the placenta afterwards.
Oh yeah, you guys did want to know what I did with the placenta. So you recommended a doula who, what they say, dehydrated it.
So placenta encapsulation is kind of a relatively new thing. It really comes from watching other mammals, and we know that other mammals eat their placenta. There's a reason for that. That's kind of gross, thinking just like eating the placenta or cooking it up in the kitchen or whatever. So there's a process where the placenta can be sliced very thin, put into a food dehydrator and dehydrated to where it's all dried out, and then it's run through like some kind of a grinder that chops it up really fine and then put into capsules. And people can actually take those capsules like a supplement. We know that the placenta is full of nutrients, it's full of hormones, it helps. There's not a whole lot of studies about it at this point, but people have told their stories of how they experienced when they take their placenta, and really overall we see more milk production, we see a decrease in postpartum depression, we see an increase in energy, and just really overall just feeling better in your postpartum. And if you take your placenta pills for 2 weeks or whatever, and then you feel like you really don't need them anymore, you can actually put them in the freezer. They'll stay good forever. You can use them when you start menstruating again for PMS symptoms. You could use them when you go into menopause, like way later. As long as they always can stay frozen, they'll always be good to use.
I didn't know about that part. I didn't know they could last that long. That's actually cool. And that's why I wanted to take them. I wanted to take my placenta capsules, because when I had Messiah, I was depressed.com. Like, I deleted my Instagram. I didn't want nobody to see me. I was like hidden. I didn't want that for you guys to see me going through depression again. Like what I went through, I didn't want you guys to see that. And I didn't want to go through that, actually. Not only you guys to see that, I didn't want to go through that. And I feel like I didn't take too much of them yet, but I still feel like, so far actually I had like 5, right? And yesterday I was moody to B.E.A, like I was snapping, and the day before I was snapping, but I had these and I feel better, and my milk came in fast, but I don't know if it was just normal. So I'll have to keep taking them and see how it does to me and how I feel before I tell you guys that yeah, it's this that's doing it. But I was moody to B.E.A the other day, and I'm not feeling moody like that anymore.
So one thing you can do is do it regularly. Whatever she said, is it 2 a day or 3 a day or something like that?
It's like two when you like wake up, and then 2 later.
Okay, so if you do that for like a week, and then you go a day without, sometimes you can tell the difference. Like, wow, I can tell I didn't take my placenta pills today.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna try
that's one way to tell.
And I'm gonna let y'all know, because I know a lot of y'all want to know. And yeah, so I hope I answered all y'all questions. She answered all y'all questions too. And let me know in the comment section what y'all think. If y'all have any more questions, would you mind, like, if you're in there commenting and answering their questions? So she gonna be looking out to see what you guys ask and stuff like that. And I hope this little video educated you guys a little bit, and I hope you guys got something from it.
Midwife 360, we have Midwife 360 Facebook. There's a lot of posts on there that I try to be educational with people. There's videos, there's birth videos, information about breastfeeding and attachment parenting, and just all kinds of stuff like that. So check us out on Midwife 360 on Facebook. There's a midwife360.com website. And we're trying to get better with Instagram, so
Yeah.
watch for that in the future.
We're gonna have her links all in the description, so y'all click the link right in the description down below. Y'all gonna see all her information. If you're in the West Palm area, you only serve West Palm?
Palm Beach and Broward County.
Palm Beach and Broward County, so you guys will be blessed to have her and her team help you guys. So if you're not in the area, which I know a lot of you guys are from other places, you guys look up having midwives, right? That's what they basically have to look for if they want to have home birth, and just Google
There's
it.
lots of home birth midwives in the area.
Yeah, so I hope you guys learned something. You take something from this video. I enjoyed making this video, and I enjoyed my birth experience, as you guys can see and tell. So I'll see you guys on the next video. Deuces, B.E.A.M Squad. My nails ain't good.
Bye, everybody.
For the patience. Got time for the paper. B.E.A.M Squad, we the greatest. Shooting vlogs in Malaysia. We ain't do it for the fame. How to make it out the pain. Now things won't be the same. I had to level up, go to Shane. On the island, count feet. In Aruba with a breeze. Nice view with a tease. Moving in with the keys. At the top is where we be.